Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going over the updated Pathfinder rules for the new edition of Kill Team. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video, and remember I've got Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate Element Games and Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support as well. But yeah, let's get on with the video. I'm covering the updated Pathfinder rules, which you can find for free on Warhammer Community and the Kill Team app. So let's go. For your roster, you have Recon, which is unchanged, and Infiltration, which is brand new for the Kill Team because they never had Infiltration before. And to be fair, this team plays Infiltration very, very well. So Recon and Infiltration is great for Pathfinders. You are back to, well, you are a 12 operative Kill Team. So you can have, once again, 12, sorry. So you've got a Shazui, and then you can have 11 other operatives. So the Assault Grenadier, the Blooded, the Comms, the Drone Controller, the Marksman, the Medic, the Shazla, Transpectral Interference, Weapons Expert with even Ion or Rail Rifle, a Recon Drone, Pulse Drone, Grav Inhibitor Drone, Gun Drone, Shield Drone, and Marker Drone. And other than the Shazla and Weapon Experts, you can only have each operative once, but you can have up to 2 Weapon Experts. So completely unchanged. So that's the roster. For the faction rules, you have Marker Light. So some Pathfinder operatives indicated on their data card can perform the Marker Light unique action. So for one action point, select one enemy operative visible to this operative. That enemy operative gains one of your Marker Light tokens to a maximum of 4. An operative cannot perform this action while within control range of an enemy operative. If an operative excluding the Recon Drone would perform the Shoot action, excluding Guard, and this action during the same activation, only the target of that shoot action can be selected, and vice versa. So if you Marker Light someone, you then have to shoot them. So you can't Marker Light and shoot someone else. This is all unchanged. Then once during each of their activations, whenever an enemy that has any one of your Marker Light tokens performs the dash, charge, fallback, or reposition action, remove one of these tokens. So this is changed. Before everyone used to lose one at the end of every turning point. Now they lose one only when they activate and either move of any kind. So if someone's trying to counteract and charge or move, all that kind of jazz, they actually don't lose Marker Light tokens. So elites can't just shake them off. Then, while only some Pathfinder operatives can perform the Marker Light action, all Pathfinder operatives can benefit from its effects. Whenever a friendly Pathfinder operative is shooting with a weapon from its data card, excluding the Assault Grenadier's Fusion Grenade, it has additional rules determined by a number of Marker Light tokens the target has. These are cumulative, so if any operative has 2 of your Marker Light tokens, the friendly operative shooting at it has the benefits of 1 and 2. So if your opponent has 1 Marker Light token, you get Saturate. 2 gives you Balanced, 3 gives you Cannot Be Obscured, and 4 gives you Seek Light. So this has changed, because before it was 1 for Saturate, 2 for ignoring, 2 for Balanced, 3 to get +1 ballistic skill, then 4 for Ignore Obscuring, and 5 for Seek Light. I really miss the +1 ballistic skill. I kind of would have rather just kept the Ode Shot and just removed Seek Light, or even remove the obscuring stuff. So I'm not really a fan of the Marker Light system, but I understand why they changed it to make it less toxic, so it's fine. For strategy ploys, you have Recon Sweep. Select one kill zone edge, excluding your own. Each friendly Pathfinder operative that's wholly within 6 inches of the edge can immediately perform a free dash action in any order of your choice, but each that does so must stand wholly within 6 inches of that kill zone edge, excluding your own. So this has been changed. You now can do it turning point 1 again, but you can only pick one side. So you can either pick the left, right, or your opponent's. Before you could do the left and right. So it's very situational more. You kind of just literally swing down one side. But now you can use it turning point 1, which feels weird. I'm fine, we can do it. But it's very, very good. Then you've got Suppressing Fire. Whenever an enemy operative is performing the shoot action, if the primary target of the weapon as Blast or Torrent, isn't the closest valid target, your opponent cannot reroll their attack dice. Ignore friendly Pathfinder operatives that have a concealed or obscured when determining this. So effectively, if you play crazy Pathfinders where everyone's unengaged, your opponent can't reroll their defense dice. If they're shooting at your Pathfinders, I like the idea that a Pathfinder player is just going to be on full engage or have enough operatives on engage to benefit from this. You're never using this ploy. Then you've got Bonded. Whenever a friendly Pathfinder operative excluding the drone is shooting or retaliating with a ranged weapon, if it's within 3 inches of another friendly Pathfinder operative excluding drones, that first friendly operative's ranged weapons have the accurate 1 weapon rule. So this is actually better. It used to give balanced, but now it just gives accurate 1. So this is very, very good. Bonded was like already a good ploy, and they've made it even better. But considering how bad suppressing fire is, I think that's a fair trade. Then you've got take cover. Whenever an operative is shooting a friendly Pathfinder operative, if you can retain any cover saves, improve that friendly operative save stat by 1. This is unchanged, and I generally don't find any use for it. Then for firefight ploys, you've got a worthy cause. Use this firefight ploy at the start of the firefight phase. One friendly operative, excluding a drone, can immediately perform a free mission action. This used to be way more powerful and way more broken, but this is fine. Now it makes sense, and instead of just like running up and doing a crazy activation before your opponent can, you probably aren't really using this much. Then you've got supporting fire. Use this firefight ploy when a friendly Pathfinder operative is performing the shoot action and you're selecting a valid target within 6. Having other friendly Pathfinder operatives within the enemy operative's control range doesn't prevent the enemy operative from being selected. This is unchanged. You could do this before, and it's a very powerful ability, especially if opponents keep trying to like charge block you to stay from being shot. Doesn't really work if you have command points. Then you've got Savior protocols. Use this firefight ploy when a friendly Pathfinder operative, excluding a drone, is selected as a valid target of a shoot action. Select one friendly Pathfinder drone operative visible and within 3 inches of that friendly operative to become the valid target instead, even if it wouldn't normally be a valid target for this. This ploy has no effect if the ranged weapon is blast or torrent. So it's effectively get down, Mr. President, but this used to be a free ability, and now Pathfinders have to play a command point to use this. You know, you now just don't have to declare it, because before with Savior protocols you had to declare at the start of the shooting phase. It's not good. I mean, if you are very desperate, you will use Savior protocols, but I'm not a fan of it. Then you've got point blank fusillade. Use this firefight ploy when a friendly operative, excluding a drone, is retaliating. If it wasn't within the control range of enemy operative at the start of that activation or counteraction, you can use one of its ranged weapons as a melee weapon, excluding a weapon that has grenade in its name during that sequence. If you do, you cannot block during that sequence, and the following weapon rules have no effect on its weapon until the end of that sequence. So devastating, piercing, or torrent. So if someone charges you, you fire your gun. This is probably the best firefight ploy. And it's depressing, but it is genuinely useful, especially if you charge down by like melee operatives. The only problem is you get charged by a Felgor, you do this, you may be friendly with them, then they just kill you and they both die. But at least it's just better than just charging and getting exploded. So it's pretty useful, actually. So I really like supporting fire and point blank fusillade. Everything else is you notably have lost the ability to dash out of combat, which is really bad. So that's a shame. But otherwise, you've got 2 okay strategy ploys and 2 good firefight ploys. So for operatives, you have the Shazui, who is your leader. 2 APL, 6-inch move, 5 up save, 8 wounds. This is the standard profile for your kill team. Your leader has 8 wounds, everyone else has 7. So you've got the Pulse Carbine, which is 4 attacks, hit on 3 is 4-5. The Gun Butt, which is 3 attacks, hit on 4 is 2-3. You've got Art of War, so once per battle, you can subscribe to their YouTube channel. As a strategic gambit, select one of the following and apply its rules until the end of the turning point. For Monkar, you add +1 to the move stat of friendly Pathfinder operatives. Oh, it hurts. This used to be a free dash if you had an engage order. Then you've got Kaon. Friendly Pathfinder operatives can perform the Mark Eye action for free during the activation if they have a conceal order, and Kaon is now the best. Kaon has finally found a game system where it's better than Monkar. This is actually really useful. Turning point 1, especially as you're not really doing mission actions. Turning point 1, you have everyone reposition dash on conceal, mark lighting. Very, very good. And it has the mark light ability for 1 action point. Unfortunately, your leaders lost the ability once per game to make someone do a mission action for 1 AP less. I don't know why that's gone as well. That's quite disappointing. I think changing the Art of War was fine. Losing the free mission action is just quite a big of a nerf, considering what this team is. But it's a common trend. And the leader has unfortunately also lost their Ritual Blade, which was 3 attacks, 8 on 4s, 3-4 balanced. I guess the Ritual Blade is now not fully ceremonial. So your Shazui just doesn't... I'm disappointed at this, because like I actually had, when I won Nova, if you didn't hear, my Pathfinder Shazui killed the enemy Shazui in ritual combat, then killed their medic in combat, right? I can't do that anymore. Why did you take that away from me? Then you've got the Assault Grenadier, who has a Fusion Grenade, which is 4 attack, on freeze, 4-3, range 6, devastating 2, limited 1, piercing 2, saturate. Then a Pulse Carbine, which hits on 4s, and a Gun Butt, which hits on 5s, which is the standard for this kill team. You've got the Grenadier Specialist, so this operative can use frag and crack grenades, so it's universal equipment. Doing so doesn't count towards any limited uses you have, and it doesn't count as one of your uses, and you also improve its hits up by 1. So your Grenadier did get better. Like, it's actually very useful. Unfortunately, it did lose the ability where it ignored changes to its APL stat and ballistic skill stat, which is quite a shame. But you do now have unlimited frags and cracks, which it didn't have before, so that makes up for it, and it can mark a light. So nice. You've got your Blooded, who has 8 wounds. It used to have a 4-up save and 7 wounds, but it's gone to a 5-up save with 8 wounds. It has a Suppressed Pulse Carbine, which is 4 attacks, 8 on freeze, 4-5 silent permanently. No downsides there. Then you've got the Bionic Arm, which is actually a really useful fighting game move, which is 3 attacks, 8 on 4s, 3-4. This is unchanged. You've got Veteran. So during a turning point in which you have used a friendly Shazui Operative's Art of War Strategic Gambit and you selected Montcar, this optic can use Kaon instead during its activation and vice versa. I understand where they were coming from, but you're never using this. You just always stick on Kaon. And then you got Markalite, which is unchanged. So still hits on freeze, permanent silent, Blooded's gooden. Then you've got your Comms, who has a Pulse Carbine and Fists, can use the Markalite action or the Signal action, which is just pick someone visible within 6 and adds +1 to the APL stat. Unchanged and still very essential to the kill team. Then you've got the Drone Controller, who has a Pulse Carbine and Gun Butt. It's got Drone Controller. Whenever this operative is in the kill zone, add 2 inches to the move stat of all friendly Pathfinder drones, and the Savior Protocol ploy costs you 0 command points. So you get it for free, but now it's only once per turning point. And then you get Markalite and Remote Pilot. One friendly Pathfinder drone operative can immediately perform the 1 free action, but it cannot move more than 2 inches during that action. That action can be one that's normally restricted by its drone rule. This takes precedence over that rule. This operative cannot perform this action while in control range of enemy operatives. This operative can perform this action more than once during its activation, but if it does, the same drone operative cannot perform the same free action more than once per activation. So, if you take the gun drone and the recon drone and you use the drone controller, you can have 1 shoot and then 1 shoot again, and those can activate and shoot again. So the drone controller is now the most important operative on the kill team. Protect it at all costs. You may want to give it a +1 APL so it can mark a light, then remote pilot twice. It's so good. Wow. Like the recon drone, the drone controller is now the clutch foundation of the Pathfinder kill team. Then you have the Marksman Pathfinder, who has the Marksman Rail Rifle with the standard profile, which is 4 attacks, hitting on freeze, 4-4, devastating 2, lethal 5-up, piercing 1. Then there's Dart Round, which is 4 attacks, hitting on freeze, 3-4, piercing 1, silent. So this is actually technically unchanged. So it used to be 3-3 with mortal wounds 1 on a crit, so devastating 1 on a crit. Now it's just 3-4, so technically it actually hasn't been nerfed, and it does have permanent silent again, so that's 2 sources of permanent silent on fully mobile operatives, which is great. And you got the Gun Butt, which is 3 attacks, on 5s, 2-3. You've got inertial dampener, so when you shoot the marksman from space, no, you can ignore any changes to the hit stat of this operative's marksman rifle. I think unchanged, so very, very good. And actually, it used to let him overwatch on full ballistic skills, so now just ignores any hit modifiers, which is good, especially if he somehow survives being injured from the medic. Then you've got your medic, who has a Pulse Carbine and a Gun Butt, has the medic ability and the Markalite ability and the medkit. So medic is when someone dies within 3 inches and is visible, they don't die, they go down to 1 APL and 1 wound, as well as the medic. Then it can do a dash action, but must end within control range of the medic. And then you can medkit someone who wasn't revived by the medic ability, which is a new change. Otherwise, your medic is very, very useful. Then you've got your Shazlar, your normal warriors. They have Pulse Carbines and Gun Butt. They are now GA2. So when you activate 1 Shazlar Pathfinder, you have to activate another in succession to a maximum of 2. You've got Fearless on the front line. This operative can perform the Markalite action while it's in control range of enemy operatives, taking precedence over Markalite action's normal conditions. In addition, this operative can fall back for 1 less action point. So your Shazlars are technically better. They can Markalite. They can Markalite while within control range. They can fall back for 1 action point. You're taking 1 Shazlar, maybe. I know there's some builds where people are like, if you take all the Shazlar there, you can't, tie them down. It might work, but I'm a fan of 1. I'm not a fan that they're GA2. Technically, you could go like GA2, someone moves, repositions Markalites, the other Markalite shoots, so they go +2 Markalites. I don't think it's worth it, personally. Then you've got the Transspectral Interference Pathfinder, who has a Pulse Carbine and Gun Butt. As the Markerlight ability, it can do the multi-dimensional vision. So for one action point, until the start of the Disruptor's next activation, when it's shooting, enemy operatives can't be obscured. And System Jam selects one enemy operative visible to the operative until the end of that operative's next activation, subtract one to their APL stat. And you cannot do this while you have a conceal order or within control range of enemy operatives. So this operative has unfortunately been nerfed, because before its multi-dimensional vision used to be a free ability. Now it's an action point to use. I don't know if I like this. It's definitely a lot worse. And I think there may be definitely instances where you now prefer the Shazlar over it, but it still does have an ability to just get an extra action point. The Weapon Expert's Pathfinder has the Ion Rifle and Rail Rifle. So the Ion is 5 attacks, hit on 4s, 4/5 piercing crits 1. Then overcharges 5 attacks, hit on 4s, 4/5 hot, lethal 5 up, piercing 1. And the Rail Rifle is 4 attacks, hit on 4s, 4/4, devastating 2, lethal 5 up, piercing 1. So you know me, I'm a long-term champion of Ions. Ions going hot. Unfortunately, when Ions go hot now, they don't go to 5/6 damage. They go to 4/5 damage, which is unchanged. They're still hot. They now gain lethal 5 up, but are only piercing 1. I would be much more happy if Ions went to 5/5 when overcharging. So they still aren't 6, but that would have been a lot fairer. It's frustrating because I am now unfortunately going to have to say this. You just always go with rail rifles. There's no reason never to go double rail rifles. Rail rifles are just so good. They won't kill you like an ion rifle will. Because this is the weird thing. On the Deathcore video, a lot of people got upset they couldn't overcharge their hotshot lasgun, well, their lasguns. And I'm like, when you hit on 4s, you have a 50% chance to damage yourself. And if you roll a 3, you take 6 damage. I would not use the ions. It's depressing, but it's now rail rifles all the way. Then you've got the Recon drone, who has 3 APL, 6-inch move, 4-up save, 12 wounds. So it's gone up an APL. It's got the burst cannon, which is 5 attacks, hit on 4s, 3/4 ceaseless, heavy reposition only, punishing. And then sweeping, which is 4 attacks, hit on 4s, 3/4 ceaseless, heavy reposition only, punishing, torrent 1. And it's got ram, which is 3 attacks, hit on 5s, 2/3. It's gone down an attack dice on its burst cannon, but has now gained punishing to compensate from that, which is fine. You've got analyze. Whenever this operative performs the Markerlight action, because the Recon drone can now Markerlight somehow, each other enemy operative that's both visible to this operative and within 3 inches of the enemy operative you selected for that action also gains one of your Markerlight tokens. So now when you Markerlight someone, if it can see everyone within 3, they also get Markerlight tokens, which is very, very good and makes the Recon drone a super auto include. I forgot to include an Operative Selection. If you select the Recon drone, it counts as 2 Operative Selections. So you are sacrificing 2 operatives for a Recon drone, so you go down to an 11 operative kill team. But the Recon drone is so good, you just do. Especially now it's free APL, so it could also reposition, analyze, well, reposition, Markerlight, and then Markerlight someone else. Or you could dash, shoot, Markerlight, then drone control, and shoot again. Very, very good for that ability alone, and it's free APL. It's got the drone ability, so this operative cannot perform any other actions on the charge, dash, fall back, fight, Markerlight, reposition, and shoot actions. It cannot use any weapons on its data card. Whenever determining control of objective markers, you choose the APL stat as 1, and whenever determining visibility from this operative, you measure from the disc. So I think you always take the Recon drone. It's just it's an auto include now. It's just really, really good. Then you've got the gun drone, who has the standard drone profile, which is 2 APL, 6-inch move, 4-up save, 7 wounds. It's got the twin pulse carbine, which is 4 attacks, hit on 4s, 4/5 ceaseless. Used to be relentless. Then ram, and it's got the drone ability. Gun drone's very, very good. I think you always take the gun drone. It's just great. Gun drone's good. Double gun. Gun. Then you've got the shield drone, who has the ram and the drone ability. It's got the shield generator rule. This operative ignores the piercing weapon rule, so always a 4-up save and shooting. Once per turning point, when an attack dice inflicts normal damage on this operative, you can ignore that inflicted damage. So it's got a once per turning point just to scratch. And you can use the Savior Protocol's Firefight Ploy for 0 CP if you specify this drone, which is really good. I'm a fan of the shield drone. It is more difficult to use, but the fact is just that I always got just to scratch is really nice. So the shield drone is actually pretty good. Then you've got the marker drone, who has the ram and the high intensity Markerlight ability. Whenever this operative performs our Markerlight action, the selected enemy operative gains 2 of your Markerlight tokens instead of 1. So really, really good. I actually also think the marker drone is an auto include because of how dependent your team is on Markerlights. always pumping out 2 a turn is essential. Then you've got the Pulse Accelerator drone, who has a ram and the drone ability. Then it's got Pulse Accelerator until the start of the Operative's next activation, or until it's incapacitated, whenever comes first. Whenever another friendly Pathfinder Operative is shooting within 3 inches of it, this weapon has lethal 5-up and severe. So this is actually very, very good. It only affects pulse weapons, but if you're running like mass pulse weapons, which you are in general, the Pulse Accelerator is pretty cool. It's a shame it's not a support ability, because then if you took the support, like the comms ability, universal equipment, then it'd be a 6-inch bubble. But otherwise, the Pulse Accelerator is very, very good. Then you've got the Grav Inhibitor drone, who has the ram and drone ability. And then it's got the Grav Inhibitor ability. Whenever an enemy operative performs an action in which it moves, if it would move visible to and within 6 inches of the operative, subtract 2 from the total distance it can move during that action to a minimum of 2. Note this isn't a change to its move stat. This is super armor, a super movement penalty, so you could lower someone to a 2-inch move. Whenever an enemy operative is fighting or retaliating and is visible and within 6 inches of the operative, worsen its hit stat of any operative's melee weapons by 1. This is cumulative with being injured. So if they're injured, they're -2 to hit. Okay, maybe we have hope against melee team Pathfinder players. We have the Grav drone. The Grav drone may be the savior we've always needed. This is actually really useful, and I'm very happy all the drones are useful. Then you've got faction equipment. You've got Target Analysis Optic. Once per turning point, when a friendly operative excluding the drone is performing the shoot action and you're selecting a valid target, you can use this rule. If you do so until the end of the action, that if the target has at least one of your Markerlight tokens, it chooses having one more. If this ranged weapon is a blast or torrent rule, only the primary target is affected by the Markerlight boons. Really, really good. Always take it because you desperately need Markerlights. You've got the Orbital Survey Uplink. Once per turning point, when a friendly operative would perform the Markerlight action, you can use this rule. If you do, select one enemy operative in the kill zone to gain one of your Markerlight tokens instead. It doesn't need to be visible. This isn't cumulative with high intensity Markerlights or the Analyze rules. This is a shame, but I think you also have to take this because it allows you just to ping people you don't see, which can be quite useful on kill zones like Volcus, and especially Gallowdark, because you just, I don't know, laser them, sight them from through the walls. Then you've got high intensity Markerlight. Once per turning point, when a friendly Pathfinder operative excluding the marker drone performs the Markerlight action, you can use this rule. If you do, the enemy operative selects gains 2 of your Markerlight tokens instead of 1. Essential, you need this. So before you effectively used to take 5 of these, now you can only use 1. I wish this and Target Analysis were twice per turning point, but it's fairer, so always take high intensity. Then you've got Photon Grenade. Once per turning point, when a friendly operative has the Markerlight action on their data card, it can perform the following unique action: Photon Grenade for 1 action point. Select a valid target for this operative and roll 1d6. On a 3+ until the end of that operative's next activation, subtract 2 from its move stat and it cannot perform the dash action, and the operative cannot perform this while in control range. You sacrifice an ability to Markerlight for a very oppressive Photon Grenade, because remember they go 2 inches slow and they can't dash. So for the Photon Grenade, I think I would only take it into melee teams or specific melee operatives I was worried about. It's quite useful. It still only works on a 3-up. I would have liked it to work on a 2-up. I understand why. It just has infinite range, so you don't need to worry about being within 6. But otherwise, a very good selection of equipment. You're always taking the Target Analysis Optic and the high intensity, and then on most maps, you're taking Orbital Survey. Very, very good. Really useful. So when it comes to Operative Selection, to collect Pathfinders, you will need 2 boxes, and it actually gets more annoying than 2 boxes. You will need 2 boxes and then a drone sprue, because that's what I had to do, because each box only comes with 2 drone sprues. So it's the ability to make 2 drones, and you want now the ability to definitely build the Pulse drone, the Grav Inhibitor drone, the Gun drone, the Shield drone, and the Marker drone. So that's 5 drones. You only get 2 per box, and so you need 5, unfortunately. You could just magnetize them, but it makes them very awkward and finicky. So that's why I recommend 2 boxes and a drone sprue, which makes it quite expensive. The reason is this team needs the ability to swap between operatives. But if I was building a single box list, you can. So I'd build the Shazui, your leader, obviously. Then I'd build the recon drone. It does count as 2 selections, which brings you down to effectively an 11 operative kill team, because it counts as 2 choices, but does mean you could get away with not building another Pathfinder. So you've got your leader, your recon drone. I would always take the gun drone, and I would always take the marker drone. So then from the other 7 operatives, you can pick I would go with the Assault Grenadier, the Blooded, the Comms, the Drone Controller, the Marksman, the Medic, and probably a Weapon Expert, right? You may want to drop someone else for a Weapon Expert. Like you could get away with probably dropping the Gun Drone for a second Weapons Expert, and you probably actually do want a second Weapons Expert. You could get away with dropping the Gun Drone for it, but you really need the high intensity marker lights. If you don't like the marker drone, you could drop the marker drone. But, you know, that's why I'd always recommend. You always want to be building 2 rail rifles now from the box. If you build a second box, you can take 2 ions instead. But as I said, rail rifles are just way better. So if you wanted to be really, really cutthroat, you could just, as I said, build that build, which is the Shazui, the Assault Grenadier, the Blooded, the Comms, the Drone Controller, the Medical Technician, the 2 rail rifle weapon experts, the recon drone, the gun drone, and the marker drone. And then you can just like swap one of those operatives around. But you will need to expand when you go into like, if you want, because there may be some matchups you don't want the recon drone, you want the extra operative, like to give that ability to flex around. But I would also generally go with that build. I think the recon drone is too powerful to pass up now. The fact it's free APL just kind of, with its group marker light or nuke thing, is very hard for people to avoid. And most people just go, fine, you can just have them all. And I think you really do need the marker drone. There are some niche instances where like the shield drone is pretty useful, as well as the grav inhibitor and the pulse accelerator. They will have some niche unique uses you can experiment around with, but that's the base. So you could probably get away with 1 box and then like an extra drone sprue. But if you wanted the full experience, you will need 2 boxes and a drone sprue as well, which is quite annoying. Although I think you can still buy the normal Pathfinder sprue, then buy the kill team box, which is weird, but that's how it works. Unfortunately, because it's so wide and you have so many useful operatives, that's kind of what you have to do. So for the Pathfinder overview, you know me, Mr. Pathfinder. I've done terrible things with these Pathfinders. They are now a lot fairer, right? They needed to be toned down. They were a very toxic kill team, and they are more restrained now. I just think they're really bad. I think they have play into elite teams, because now you can just marker light someone up and then go, okay, someone's quickly got 4 marker lights, just fire everything until that person is dead, and just keep repeating the process 5 more times. So you can do that. That's a very valid like option. The problem is now everyone generally hits on 4s. There's no way to get people to hit on 3s, and it's quite difficult. You have to invest a lot to generate these marker lights, and especially into elites. You know, even if they're ignoring the ones that can ignore piercing, you've only got 1 piercing weapon that's on 3s. The rest are on 4s. Even with like accurate 1 doesn't give you an extra balance. So you've got balanced and accurate 1. Still only hitting on 4s. You might only just get 2 hits and then not enough to actually do any damage, especially if they block your saves. And the problem with marker lights, the reason your pulse weapons were so damaging was because they could hit on 3s, and you would just eventually, once someone's hitting on 3s, you're just forcing through enough hits to just bring people down. And the worst thing about this kill team now is they used to be the premier shooting team, but they can't win shootouts anymore because they take so much setup. It's so long to get the marker light tokens you need. You can kind of get away with it versus elite kill teams and like teams you massively outnumber, because you activate them, so you can spend your time marker light them. Now when you're fighting into teams like Deathcore, other 12 wound teams like Blooded, any horde team, this team will probably lose because they really hate doing 1-for-1 trades without marker light support. Having 2 marker lights isn't really enough to do stuff, and because it's so difficult for you to get high intensity marker lights now, it's really slow to get 2, because before you could go, okay, I'm going to like dash with Art of War, marker light for you 2 and shoot you. It's only 4 attacks, hitting on 2s, hitting on 4s, it would saturate and balance, but then I also get bonded effect. So then I've got like 2 rerolls. I should be able to force something through into a 7 wound 5 up save team. Now you can't really do that, and you're more likely to just bounce off them and do nothing. I am shocked they didn't just like keep the +1 to hit, but then made marker lights made pulse carbines 4/4 damage. I thought that's what they were going to do. So the team is in a very tough spot, very, very difficult. But the trade-off is you can do infiltration very, very well, like especially if you can get the recon drone into position. It's a shame the drones don't have fly. The drones losing fly makes them incredibly slow. Very, very challenging to use more offensively. You've lost your forward deploy with your drones, but your drone controller carries the team because it can make, after like your gun drones fired and your recon drones fired, you can then spend 2 action points to have your recon drone fire again and then your gun drone fire again. So you get a lot of like reward for setting up, but I think it's going to be very difficult. And I wouldn't be surprised now. Like Pathfinders were already a very difficult team to play. They are now incredibly difficult. And I'm just going to see people who like picked up the team go like, wow, I'm just getting exploded. I know some people think they have play. I've had to tell one of my good friends is like, look, we both know Pathfinders are bad. Don't delude yourself and go back to them because you're just going to get exploded. I think what they could have done to make them a little bit more playable is just let targeting optics and the high intensity marker light equipment work twice per turning point. I think that would have been a fair trade-off. So then you don't need to rely on like the high intensity marker light as much. Maybe not the recon drone because you don't need to spread around so many marker lights. But like they still have recon, which is okay, but they're really good at infiltration. They are still quite damaging, but they're in this weird spot like the Vespids, right? If they roll hot, they're going to be crazy. But then the problem is, if you just roll okay and then your opponent rolls okay, they will now just survive your stuff. Especially if your opponent rolls hot with their saves, you can't really do much against that. And, you know, it's really funny they are still destroyed by Farstalker Kinban because Farstalker Kinban will just get around all their tricks. They've lost the ability to marker light with a guard action on Gallodark, which makes them even worse on Gallodark, despite how wide the rooms are. So it's very, very strange. I don't know. They are. I understand they had to be fairer to play against, but I think this time, like as we saw with Chaos Cult, they went too far. They're definitely one of the worst kill teams in the game. But if they didn't want to make toxic teams, I understand and I accept it. Pathfinders were dominating the game forever. They are still playable with some nice tricks. Like I do like how the grav inhibitor drone and the pulse inhibitor drone works. And to be fair, the recon drone, I don't know where it's hiding in that marker light, but I'm not going to question its nuke marker light. I guess instead of just firing like a laser sight, it just like fires a torchlight of lasers just at the enemy opponent to blind them. But I get where they're going. I think they were a bit too restrained, like too severe in removing a lot of abilities from key operatives, like the leader's ability for once per game -1 mission action, or the transpectral just having inbuilt ignore obscuring. But it is what it is. I've come to terms with this changes and just like, I'm personally already pushing Pathfinders out into the boat, like already lighting their funeral pyre. Like they don't need to wait for them to be removed from classified. It's okay, they're already gone. Although they technically do have a weird niche play into elite teams, especially if the meta is going to elite heavy. But that's pretty much it from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Do you agree or disagree? What do you think of the new Pathfinders? Are you happy or happy? And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, and a affiliate at Lemon Games, and a affiliate at Firestorm game, Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my adepts of the crit, I have Zombie Businessman, Tom, Supercow, Steven, Sam, Nick, Mercenary Q, Mr. Meatwad, Lucas, John, Thomas, Graham, Fangzu, Draken, Dave Meatswell, Darcy, Dad of Goldens, Chris, and for my veterans of the crit, I have Samja, Ryan, and Mark. So thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me. Help support the channel. But that's it for Chow Naf Day. We got the, Novitiates still staying strong, and then Pathfinders like crawling around on their stumps. Both of their legs have been blown off, but they still have thighs, and they're waddling to the opponent. They've not given up, They got destroyed in a trailer by a servo skull sentry. They've already tagged in to the Vespid, but they're not giving up. So no matter how hard you're beating Pathfinders, remember, there's always a way to beat them a little bit more, as long as you can roll a crit.